So we get asked the question, how does this matter? These are big, fancy, heady words that you're putting in front of us, right? You're putting in these big, heady concepts. They don't matter. How do we practicalize them? How do we make them real? Why do I care? Why should I care? Here's why. This whole next section is about why this matters to you. And when you hear this, I hope that you resonate with some of the typical issues that we all run into in both our projects and interfaces with the rest of the world around us. So let's start with number one. Element one, the project of you. No matter what project I have led or been a part of, I have found that putting attention into this concept of the project of myself completely influences the world around. So if I am overwhelmed, if I am feeling lost in the midst of a project, I come back to element one and I reflect on how am I? Where are my strengths? What am I? How am I interfacing with the world around me? I take some time to reflect. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, ambiguous, or lost in the midst of this project, or in life in general, this first practice, this first principle of the project of you is at the core and at the beginning of this system for a reason. And I'm going to move to Jim for a minute as well.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely essential, even when you get out of talking about the world of projects and delivering value for an end user. Too many of us go through lives without a particular goal in mind. You know, what do I want to get out of my life? Do I want to do more than just muddle through my career and have a mediocre retirement and that's it? And or do I want to make a difference? Do I want to have an impact for those around me locally, or an impact for the whole world, that sort of thing? And a lot of people struggle with trying to figure out why work is so painful, why it's so painful on these projects, why is it so challenging to work with that person, all of these different issues. So the project of you is sitting down and digging in and really making sense of how you came to be who you are today and what your values are. And that in itself is really important, because your values are things that need to be respected in the workplace. If you're in a place that diminishes you in some way, that doesn't respect you for who you are, for whatever reason it might be, then how can you possibly give your all to the project? If the project that you're working on is something that doesn't align with your values, and I know that in the first 10 years of my career, I worked in defense and military projects. And there were a number of people that I worked with that really didn't feel good about working on defense projects, because defense projects are about building things that can harm others. So nailing who you are and what your values are is really, really important. And beyond that, the project of you, your whole life is going to be more than the sum of the projects that you worked on. And you want to figure out, when you're on your deathbed, are you going to be happy with the life that you led? Or are you going to have these massive regrets? And I really believe that you can be a lot more proactive. A lot of what we talk about in all these elements is being proactive. You can be a lot more proactive at trying to identify what you want to be able to reflect on in the future and say, yeah, I achieved what I wanted to achieve in my life. You're not going to achieve those things if you don't sit down and figure out what it is you want to achieve now, and work towards that. So there's a lot of components behind the project of you that we describe that really help you be more effective in the workplace and more effective in life in general.
I like
Uh,
that. And I love the exercises you put into that particular element, because those exercises are key tools that you use over and over and over again. It's not just used once and then thrown away.
yeah,
These
yeah,
are
totally.
lifelong exercises that we can tap into. I want to add two more points to this first element, the pain points, the exhaustion that I'm hearing from so many people, especially given the last couple of years of dynamic and real change through the pandemic. And I also want to note, I'm getting a lot of requests from people around how do I stand out in the job market, from various sectors. And I just want to note that I'm going to be honest, if one does not do the work, the inside work, it does come through on the outside, and it does come through on a team, and it does come through on a project. So it's this constant, I don't even say it's work, it's more of just exploration, discovery within oneself to really align what I call one's action to vision pathway. So the action that I am taking today can maybe lead to some kind of a deliverable, which maybe leads to some kind of a milestone, which maybe leads to some kind of an objective I have, and maybe even a project goal. But how does that relate to my vision, right? And that's what I love about some of the work that you bring to us in that element, Jim, is you help us align our today with our future identity, with what we're hoping to achieve and what we want to achieve. And for those of us that are coming here and listening and going, I'm exhausted, it's a great way to re-energize yourself. When I get tired, the first thing I do is I go, okay, project and me time. I gotta just sit back, take 5 minutes and recalibrate. So it's really good for recalibration, especially those of us who are exhausted. The second point I have is for those people who are taking this as a professional development upgrade, organizations, what is the number one thing that they are looking for right now in the skills market? It's not technical skills. It's social and emotional skills, known as SES. So if your SES is down and there's 99 other people at the table for that same position, the person who is exhibiting that SES, and I'm sorry to sound all harsh on this, but when I'm looking for people on a team, I am not just looking for their technical skill set, and I'm not just looking for their experience. I am looking for their empathy. I am looking to see how they are going to work within a team dynamic. And I am very particular also about this piece. The project of you, I want people to own who they are. I want them to enjoy who they are and the diversity that you bring to a team. In today's world, and especially as we begin to solve problems of the future today, we are in the midst of some serious problem solving as a world right now. When I go for a hire, Jim, I look at not their culture fit, I look at their culture add.
Yeah.
And I know we're heading into element 2, which is intentional culture and leadership. But what I want to say is with element number 1, doing the self-reflection time, working on the project of you will provide more value than I can even describe.